The year is 2014. Film Fetish Season 2. Episode 1. Talking about movies.
Movies.
I'm your host, Connor Boyd. Welcome to Film Fetish, your home for fetish. I'm Connor Boyd, your host of Film Fetish.
Trying to edit this out.
Your home for fetish. I'm Connor Boyd, your host of Film Fetish, your home for
Trenton, leave this
fetishistic
in.
film fuckery.
Trenton, leave this in.
Today,
Trenton, leave this in. Trenton, edit this out.
are we supposed to click the record button?
We're recording.
We're recording.
We're on the tape.
And we're live. Okay,
This has all been documented for future research.
today we're going to talk about what movies we saw over the winter break.
Christmas episode.
Christmas episode, sort of.
No, I can't talk Home Alone for 40 minutes.
I could.
And, yeah, I guess we'll... I mean, do we want to do Oscar nomination?
I mean, we can run through our quick and brief opinions on the nominations.
Yeah.
All right, let's do that.
But what was... Let's start out with this. I'll pose this question. What was the best thing, cinema-wise, that you saw or what happened over the winter break? Me, personally, it was seeing Wolf of Wall Street with my dad on Christmas Day. That was my favorite. That was my most favorite part.
In the movie theater or just like in general?
In general.
Favorite
Oh, wow.
movie experience over the break.
Like, it
I
could be that
mean-
you watched a movie for the first time that you thought was awesome. It's very, very loose guidelines.
All right,
here.
so like I maybe have two, I guess. I know.
Overachiever here.
I'm sorry, I didn't introduce anybody.
Oh,
We are
shit.
with George Monard.
Hey,
Our guest George Monard. Our regulars, Alex Powell,
It's good to see you all again.
Aaron Dye,
yo,
and of course the lovely Jarrod White.
the lovely, luscious Jarrod White.
The luscious. All right, George, you were saying though.
Yeah, I was saying it for fucking Connor interrupted me.
I'm not gonna respond to that. Just go ahead.
I saw Inside Llewyn Davis in a movie theater, and I thought that was a really great movie. Out of all the movies that came out in the movie theaters this year, that's probably my favorite, actually.
What?
Of all those movie theater movies, I like this movie.
Yeah.
Of all the movies.
You saw it in a movie theater, George.
Did you have popcorn?
Yeah, I did. I got 3 bags of popcorn out of 3.
That's a good score right there.
That's a great score.
I would give it 5 bags.
That's a
popcorn
quality
out of
movie film right there.
and 2 sodas.
5. I give it 4 sodas.
Out of
Alex,
Anyways,
what was your?
I'm not done yet. I'm not done speaking.
Oh
Man.
Remember,
he's
he
not
had,
done.
if you remember,
I'm not done
if
speaking.
you recall,
He
he
said
had 2
two.
experiences.
Oh shit.
He'd like to share.
2 as in I want to talk for extra long.
And as you had your wonderful dad experience seeing Wolf of Wall Street, there was one morning me and my dad made a cup of coffee and watched the original 3:10 to Yuma.
Oh,
Going
wow.
forward. And that movie was awesome, and that was a great start to my day. And I was over the break, and I liked that movie a lot.
It's directed by John Ford.
No, it stars Glenn Ford.
Glenn Ford.
It's directed by Delmer Daves.
Elmer
It
Daves.
was like 1960 actually. It's kind of late for a western, but it's shot in black and white. Great photography, great like building tension. I haven't seen the remake with who's in that? Russell Crowe
I think
and,
Russell Crowe
and Hugh Jackman.
Maybe.
I think so.
I've heard it's actually a good remake. Though.
Yeah.
maybe.
Has anyone here seen the original 3:10 to Yuma?
No.
It's
Haven't
really
seen
good. I
either
really
version.
recommend checking it out. It's on Criterion now,
Yes, it is.
so
Well, that's cool.
it's a good movie.
Yeah, I want to see it. You described it to me as a good movie to wake up and watch with a cup of coffee, which sounds like that's how you watched it. So
Yeah.
neat.
Yeah.
Alex, go ahead.
All right. Well, I don't remember a lot of the films that I saw over the break.
Because they were all so forgettable.
No, unforgettable. Okay, but either way, the
watch
one that
movie?
I do remember is Spike Jonze' Her, which I did enjoy, which I know Jared and I have a slight disagreement on.
Well,
Slight.
Ooh.
I say slight, as in it's very
Yeah,
slight.
slight.
Shots fired.
slight.
It's a very slight thing. We have, you know.
But he's offended because
How do
he
you-
loves the movie and I just like
Oh
it.
no, I'm
How
not
do you
offended.
no? But this
Wait,
is the
what?
ultimate. This is the ultimate controversy. How do you spell Mike Jones?
Mike
Is it
Jones.
Spike Jones?
Is Spike Jones. Did I say Mike Jones?
It's in Mike-
Yeah,
I don't know how
it's
you
in
spell Mike Jones.
I don't know either. But how do you spell Spike Jones? Is it Jones?
No.
Or is it
No,
J-O-N-Z-E.
Because I've seen it spelled different ways.
the
Well,
Z
that would be
was
wrong.
Z.
That
I
was
know.
wrong.
I always thought the
wrong.
Z was like, why would there be an alternative with a
There
Z if
isn't.
that
His
wasn't the
name's not
original?
even Spike Jones. It totally. It's like, that's like his like. celebrity name.
That's his movie name.
Movie.
And I can't be the only person that gets him mixed up with Spike Lee, right? Like when I say Spike Jones,
Oh,
it's like
yeah, I've done
a
that.
half second of hesitation. I'm
I did
just
that.
like,
I
Spike
did
Jones.
that. Then I
That
fucking grew a couple of brain cells. And
Yeah, I don't do
I don't
that.
do that anymore.
That's just you.
All right, I guess I'm the only human in this group of 5. But
Yeah.
all right, go ahead.
Well, I am part alien, so that also explains that controversy. No, I'm not. But either way, Her is a great movie that's beautifully shot. Wow, it's so pretty. The pants in the movie that we did.
That's my favorite part of the movie, the pants.
Yeah, the pants are pretty snazzy. Amy Adams gives a wonderful performance as Amy. Joaquin Phoenix's face for 2 hours is quite a sight. Scarlett Johansson does a very great
I heard she's
performance.
really hot in this film.
Yeah, she's
Yes,
fucking so
yes,
hot.
absolutely.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
You saw the
I
Avengers?
haven't seen
Get the
that.
fuck out of here.
But yes, no,
Insane.
very inventive, very wonderful. Go see it if you can. It's worth checking out. I don't remember a lot of films from my break, but I did see other films after the break that I did enjoy. In early January.
Can you give us a couple?
Including The Hunt, which is currently nominated for Best Foreign Language Film
Thomas
this year.
Vinterberg, or-
Thomas Vinterberg.
Yes.
Starring that one dude from Casino Royale.
Mads Mikkelsen.
Thanks,
Has it
Squire.
been anything else?
Yeah. That's
You gotta know these guys.
Well, he was
is
in
one of the
Hannibal.
most esteemed international actors on the scene today.
one of the most esteemed, creepy-looking foreign dudes.
Oh, I don't know. I don't think
He's
he's creepy,
creepy
looking.
looking.
No, that's because he's a good actor.
Yeah.
Okay.
Isn't he creepy looking in Pusher too?
He just
Like
has like
Anthony-
those dead eyes.
Anthony
that, like,
Hopkins
those cold
is creepy
stare.
looking, not just because he was in like
I don't think
Adam
Anthony
Driver?
Hopkins out of Psycho is creepy.
Anthony Hopkins. Who am I talking
Anthony
about?
Perkins. Is that what
No,
you meant?
no, Anthony Hopkins.
Oh, you meant Anthony Hopkins.
Hannibal
you
Lecter.
meant Hannibal Lecter. I thought you meant Anthony Perkins. Psycho.
No, I haven't seen him in anything but Psycho. I'm talking about Anthony. Anyways, it's not fucking.
Because I would say that's another example of a really normal-looking guy looking really creepy.
Yeah, I
Anthony
think Jim
Perkins in
Carrey,
Psycho.
if he was cast the right way, could be completely creepy.
Well, what about Cable Guy?
I think there's
Is he
been many
creepy in
roles
that?
where he's
I
I
thought
think
that
he's
was
supposed to
creepy.
be.
I don't know.
Okay, so
Go ahead, Aaron.
What about the number 23?
Hey,
I haven't seen
Jim
that one.
Carrey. You want to know the twist?
What?
He's the killer the whole time,
Wait,
and he
really?
didn't know. Yeah, it's one of those movies.
Jesus Christ.
Sounds like fun.
I didn't even know it was a murder mystery. I thought it was just him drawing shit on walls.
That's
and-
basically what it is. And then at the end, you find out he's been killing people. I don't remember. It was dumb.
Well,
That's
you
another
heard it here
Joel,
first.
another
Jim Carrey
Joel
was a killer.
Schumacher classic, right?
Oh wow. Okay, fuck that noise. Let's move on.
All right. I didn't watch too much in theaters. I saw Anchorman 2 in theaters. Absolutely hated it.
dang.
Damn, shots fired.
Yeah.
yeah.
I don't get the whole. Some people say it's like better than the first one, and I like the first one. It's just.
You liked
Anchorman
the first
2
one, but you didn't like the second one?
Anchorman 2 didn't do it for me.
Huh.
I thought
When
it
was the last time you saw the first Anchorman?
I can't remember. Not too long ago.
Okay.
I mean, I think it holds up pretty well since I was like a kid and watched it. But Anchorman 2, I like chuckled maybe once. It was not doing it. Good movie wise, I'd say that my favorite thing I saw over break was Man Bites Dog.
Oh.
Oh, all right.
That's that one movie that you see a bunch of times, like in places, like in a I can't say blockbuster, but you just see it around, but you
Yeah.
never watch it.
Yeah,
That's a
it's like
movie
it's
you need to
on a
watch.
ton of lists, like most
Yeah.
disturbing lists. You always like see it. I
Yeah.
finally got around to watching it. I thought it was amazing.
Really.
It fizzles out by the end. Like the end is like anticlimactic and nothing really happens. But most of the movie is just really amazing.
Mhm.
Just like the way like it's one of those movies that just like plays with the audience because like it's like critiquing its audience in a way. It's really good.
That's cool.
Not a big fan of it myself, but we talked about this.
Yeah, I know we did.
Oh, you kind of had your head down. You're like,
I mean, it's not a bad
Not a
movie.
big
It's
fan of
just,
myself.
I don't know. It's just a little underwhelming. It's
Really? I
You know,
mean,
it's
the
like,
end.
It's like,
the
ooh,
end-
shock the human monkey, and I'm like, I'm not shocked. I'm like, it's a guy killing people.
I wasn't
and
really
he's like-
shocked. I was
I don't
just
know.
what's
like,
the premise? What's the
It's
premise?
a camera crew following around a killer.
yeah, it's a mockumentary
Oh.
basically, following
Your
around a
favorite
serial
genre.
Which,
killer.
you know,
and
like I can do without ever seeing a non-Christopher Guest mockumentary ever again. You know.
Yeah, me too.
But
Not a fan of mockumentaries at all. But
this one is so good though, because like it starts, you know, they're just like objectively filming the serial killer. And it's like an outlandish premise, but it's like, oh, you're gonna roll with it.
Mm-hmm.
And then like the whole twist, I guess, I'll ruin it a little bit.
Goofy.
Is that the filmmakers start like crossing over to the dark side and they start killing people too. And,
Oh, weird.
Yeah.
That's goofy. Yeah,
Huh.
I don't know.
I
Maybe I'll
liked
have
it.
to see it.
Yeah,
I don't know. I'll have to decide.
yeah.
Jared, apart from Man Bites Dog, what other
I
movies?
did not see that over the break.
Oh, okay.
I saw that a long time ago, but over the break, I think my favorite thing that I saw was I was given the chance to see Ben Wheatley's newest film, A Field in England, which Ben Wheatley, by all accounts, is one of the best filmmakers working today, I think. Probably definitely the best British filmmaker that I'm aware of working today. This is his fourth film. All three leading up to it are excellent. Their Kill List is the first. No, Down Terrace is the first one. Kill List is the second one. I believe Down Terrace was 2009. Kill List was 2011. Sightseers from 2012, which is definitely one of the best films of that year. And then A Field in England from 2013. And as much as I love the first three and how great Sightseers and Down Terrace are, A Field in England I think is his best so far. It's sort of one of those movies that takes an old sort of premise but does it in a way you've never seen before.
Mm-hmm.
And it's almost that same old Joseph Conrad Heart of Darkness type story, but it's basically, if you break it down to base elements, it's late 17th century British guys in a field tripping on mushrooms.
Oh, you've told me about this.
That's essentially a base
Wow.
element what's going on. I mean,
Oh,
there's a
wow.
lot more going on than that.
I remember like seeing footage. I follow the critic Mark Kermode.
Yeah, he
From
talked
the
about it
BBC.
a lot.
He's a big
but,
fan
yeah.
of like Ben Wheatley's work, and he talked about Sightseers, and he talked about Field of England, and the footage. Like I've seen like clips of it, and it seems like a very like
It's
an extremely visual movie.
It's amazing. There's this one scene in it where this guy, the like main antagonist of the movie, brings these guys into this tent,
yeah.
and you never see what he shows them in the tent. But when the guy comes out, the scene of him coming out of the tent, is just simultaneously so creepy and so like funny at the same time, and you don't know how to feel, and it's really uncomfortable and weird. And it's just in slow motion. The look on his face is just like...
I know Sightseers is on Netflix.
The first three are on Netflix.
Oh, are they? Nice.
Yeah.
But Field of England, you saw that through what meanings? How'd you see Field of England?
In the theaters?
No, I
No.
did not see it in the
Oh.
theaters. I saw it on the computer box,
Oh, someone sent it to you in an email, that kind of thing.
more or less.
Yeah.
I will be buying it when it comes out in America, though.
Yeah.
I will be, because
Is it already released? Like, is it?
it came out
past-
in... Actually, the way they released it in England was they did, like, all on one day. I think it was in May. Multi-format release. It came out on DVD and Blu-ray. They showed it on Film 4, and it came out in theaters. And streaming and on demand, all on the same day. So it was Ben Wheatley and, the production company saying, watch this movie however you want. If you want to go into the theater and see
Nice.
it, go see it in the theater. If you want to stay in your house and watch the guys in the field, stay in your house. But it's shot in gorgeous black and white, and the performances are amazing, and it's almost got, like, the dialogue is almost Shakespearean with this weird, obtuse kind of humor. And probably between that and Prisoners, those are my two favorite films that came out this last year that I saw. Just new films.
That's interesting.
Really fantastic.
Well, yeah, that's awesome. I'll have to see that one.
I'd recommend
the
it
premise
to
of,
everyone, yeah. 18th century dudes tripping on acid. Is it 18th century? I believe it's late 17th century, like 1600s. Like,
Oh wow.
yeah, I know he took a lot of influence from Peter Watkins's Culloden, which is like a pseudo-documentary shot with guys in costumes out in the field, like as if it was like a cinema verite documentary made in the 1600s.
Mhm.
And I think he took I remember he said he took influence from that. It was a similar look at some points.
Well, that's cool. Well, I guess, do you guys want to talk about the upcoming Oscars? I know it's kind of far away, but
Not really.
Not really. It's
About a month.
About a month.
Not really.
not really. Not really. Is there next
month.
Yeah, I guess it is about a month. I don't know.
can you fix the reverb?
It just seems like it's far away.
It'll be here
I don't know.
before
Here,
you
I'll
know
pull
it.
up the nominations on my old Apple iPhone 5S.
Does anyone have any
Sponsored you.
predictions?
Well, based on the fact that Mr.
American
Coran,
Hustle. Take everything.
okay,
Gonna take everything?
American
okay.
Hustle.
Bad
No.
Grandpa for the win.
For your consideration, best hair and makeup. But considering that Alfonso Cuarón just won the DGA award for best director, it's likely that he could win the Oscar for best director. And then also it happened at the Golden Globes as well. So
Though I believe
good chance.
whether
It's a good chance.
whether he or Steve McQueen wins Best Director, which it's pretty much between them, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Either one will make history because Alfonso Cuarón
Yeah.
will be the first
Mexican
Mexican-born director to ever win, and Steve McQueen will be the first African-American director
And if
to ever
Gravity
win.
wins Best Picture per se, which I don't think it will, but it'll be the first
Don't
sci-fi.
don't even say it.
What?
It's not true. It's not a science fiction film.
What is it then?
It's not.
It's a thriller in space.
That's true, because it's not science fiction.
There's
Is it
nothing
in the,
science
is it
fiction
in
about
the
it.
future?
No, that's a good point. It's not science
There's
fiction at
nothing.
all.
I
It's-
hate it. It's driving me crazy. Everyone says it's a science fiction film, and they've been saying that it'll be the first science fiction film to ever win. No, it will not.
It'll just be a
It's like
science.
saying Jaws is a science fiction film.
Yeah.
I'm saying Jaws is like a monster.
And people
movie.
make all these arguments
Yeah.
like, oh, well, the science isn't real in it, like, because the science like doesn't make sense. That wouldn't really actually happen. I'm like, well, Dark Knight wouldn't really actually happen.
I was watching-
Die Hard wouldn't
Yeah.
actually really
That
happen.
makes sense.
I was
I guess we
watching,
just assume it is science fiction because it's in space.
It's in outer space, so it must be sci-fi.
It's a
But
space
Apollo
movie.
13 isn't science
That's
fiction.
true.
And this isn't nearly as realistic as that, but it's not science fiction.
I was
So
watching.
first Mexican director, first black director. I mean, I think. Yeah, what are you gonna say?
Well, I was just saying that I was watching this awesome program. It's a web series called Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee.
Yeah.
I don't know if
Jerry
you've ever seen that.
Seinfeld's. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
that's the-
Jay Leno was on it, and he was talking about how people are talking about how the debris isn't going the right way.
Yeah.
He goes, you know what? I think people are forgetting Sandra Bullock and George Clooney are the fucking astronauts. Like,
Yeah.
maybe that's why it's unrealistic. But like, yeah, I don't see that movie as a science fiction film.
Yeah.
I don't really think that deserves Best Picture.
No, neither do
No.
I. But like,
As much as I like,
I would
that.
be
no,
mad. I would be very mad.
I am ramping
I'd
up
be
for a
very-
disappointment
if
when
it
they
beat-
give that thing
if
a
it beat
trophy.
American Hustle
No.
and it also beat Wolf of Wall Street and it beat Her, I would be astounded.
But I think
there's
for
very
12
little
Years a
chance.
Slave.
For Best Picture, I think 12
I
Years
haven't
a
seen
Slave
that one,
will win.
but
I think, I
yeah.
think it's kind of the movie that's obviously not.
I mean, if
Well,
it
it's
could
a-
be Captain Phillips, then
I mean, my prediction would be that 12 Years a Slave takes the Best Picture and Cuarón takes the Best Director.
that's what I'm saying.
But
If that happens, I wouldn't be.
Yeah,
So
so
the,
for
the
everyone's
best films
information,
of the year,
who's-
obviously the films that most people think are the best films of the year typically aren't even nominated, anyways. You know what I mean?
well, yeah,
Like-
because you get on one side, the people are saying, oh, where's, this obscure, not obscure, but where's this, more like art house or indie film that
Yeah.
was really great. And then on the other side, you got people like, what are all these movies, all these boring movies no one goes to see?
Yeah, that's-
Where's Hobbit?
Yeah.
Where's,
Oh my
Man of
God.
Steel? I know not everyone liked it, but the special effects were incredible. you get two people on sides
yeah,
of
it's
the
a
spectrum.
constant battle. But like, if people don't know what the Best Picture nominees are, it's American Hustle, Captain Phillips, Dallas Buyers Club, Gravity, Her, Nebraska, Philomena. How do you say that?
Philomena.
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 Philomena. You say Philomena, I say Philomena.
Philomena, 12 Years a Slave, and The Wolf of Wall Street. And then I guess we'll just say Best Director as well. Alfonso Cuarón for Gravity, David O. Russell for American Hustle, Alexander Payne for Nebraska,
What are you laughing
Just
about?
laugh at David O. Russell.
David O.
rhymed.
Russell for American Hustle,
It rhymed.
David O. Russell for American Hustle, Steve
What is this, a
McQueen
limerick?
for 12 Years a Slave, and Martin Scorsese for Wolf of Wall Street. So I'm feeling, I don't know.
Do we want to go around
I
and
think-
say who you would pick?
Yeah,
That-
let's do
sure.
that.
Let's do that.
Let's do that.
All right. So for Best Picture, what's your Best Picture, George?
Wait, does it have to be in a nomination?
Yeah, from the nominees. If
Ah,
you were
dang
from the
it.
nominees.
If you were a voter, what would you vote
And of
for?
what I've seen, I haven't seen 12 Years a Slave. I haven't seen. Can I see this really quick? I haven't seen
Yeah, just say what you haven't seen, and then you can choose.
Dallas
That's-
Buyers Club. I didn't see American Hustle yet. Didn't see
You see Captain
Philomena.
Phillips?
It really hurt.
I saw Captain Phillips. Out of the ones I've seen, I guess I'd say Her. Out of all the ones I've seen that I like the most, it'd be Her.
Yeah.
It's between Her and The Wolf of Wall Street.
But you're missing some of the big ones. So
I mean, if it was my Oscars, if it was the George Monard Oscars, it would be Inside Llewyn Davis,
Llewyn
like
Davis.
and like Coen Brothers would be best.
That was
director.
definitely an oversight not putting that one up
Yeah,
for best picture.
totally,
Definitely.
Yeah, no, I have a list
crazy.
too, but but I definitely have to agree with putting Inside Llewyn Davis in there. That definitely should have at least been nominated for Best Picture. Get Captain Phillips out of there. What's that doing there? No, but I don't know. It's very hard to decide. I think my three favorites from this list are Her, 12 Years a Slave, and The Wolf of Wall Street. But I'd probably give it to 12 Years a Slave.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think you'll be disappointed when Oscar
Yeah.
night rolls around.
I haven't seen 12 Years a Slave. I really, really
What's
want
wrong
to.
with you? What are you doing?
What are you gonna call me, racist or something?
What are you?
Hey, my president's black. Okay.
I have a black one.
We have two black
yeah.
presidents:
You
Lee
saw,
Pelton and
you saw
Obama.
Bad Grandpa, but you
Wow.
didn't see What's going on?
Times they are changing.
Yeah.
Okay, Bob.
But
So saying that, it's hard for me to choose because like I feel like I might give 12 Years a Slave if I had seen it the Best Picture.
it's not too
award.
late.
Wait, Philomena?
I plan to see every one
What?
before.
Wait, Philomena,
Did
you
I
said?
say
No, he
12?
said 12 Years a Slave.
Oh, I thought you said Philomena
What
if
is
I
your
saw
problem?
it.
No, I don't really
I
have that
haven't
much
seen
desire to
Steve
see
Philomena.
Coogan
Philomena.
for Best Actor.
But right now, I would give
Yes.
The Wolf of Wall Street the Best Picture.
Alright, it's fair.
I really enjoyed the whole arc of that movie.
Jared,
I haven't seen Philomania, but of all the other ones,
you've seen every other one.
I've seen all the other ones.
Cool.
I really like Wolf of Wall Street. I think Wolf of Wall Street is excellent. I really like American Hustle. It's a tight, strong movie, and this is coming from someone who's not been a David O. Russell fan in the past.
God, there's so many fucking good movies this year. It's so insane.
Yeah,
it's better
it's a
than
really
last
strong
year.
12
for
Years
sure.
a Slave is fantastic. I think that is a phenomenal movie, one that people will look back on, and that will be a cornerstone movie for this time in cinema. But the one I have to go with is Nebraska. Nebraska is my favorite of those.
Really? Wow.
Absolutely fantastic. I was in
So
bliss.
you think Nebraska should win Best Picture?
That's what I would pick.
Wow, that's
That's
not
my
a popular opinion. I don't think.
I don't think
From
it's-
what I've heard of the movie.
It's I mean, everyone that's seen it, most people seem to definitely like
Everyone,
it. But I don't think anyone's, less than Jared, is over the moon about it. You know?
I am over the moon about that movie. It's a great.
See, to me, it was between Wolf of Wall Street and Her out of those picks that I've seen. Like, I mean, I'm gonna see all the movies before, like, except for Philomena, maybe. All the movies, like, before they come out, I'll go to the theater and watch them or whatever. But I picked Her over Wolf of Wall Street because, like, I like Wolf of Wall Street quite a bit, but I know I've seen a story that's very similar to that. I'll be Goodfellas or Boogie Nights or the Scorsese kind of movie, and Her I thought was just not original enough because obviously been movies that had dealt with similar themes like that before, but the vision that I had was strong enough in me that kind of made it like something that I hadn't quite seen before. But I mean, I'm just saying it's out of the movies that I saw on that list.
Yeah, I mean it's.
You're walking a fine line there when you get, like, what film would you say is more well done?
Out of what?
Out of what?
Of those two that you were just weighing back and forth, which one would you say is the tighter, better movie?
Like technically,
Wolf of Wall Street or Her?
Well, there's plenty of ways to approach it technically, or in terms of the writing, or
it's a lot of things to like think about. I mean, technically, I think I would give Wolf of Wall Street that advantage.
Well, here's how I
because
kind of view it.
you can't put your vote in a film just because it's original if it's not the best film.
No, I'm talking about like you're asking for opinions, right?
Yeah, what film?
I mean, you got to take in your own.
I'm just
the films that you like.
I'm just weighing the line and seeing like what you really think.
Because you said
like,
Nebraska, right?
Because-
Was your pick per se.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, because your reason for not picking Wolf of Wall Street is I've kind of seen something like this before.
Mm-hmm.
But that doesn't really say anything against that film. So
Not against it, but I'm just saying like.
I'm not like arguing with you for your choice. Obviously, you have any choice. I'm just trying to,
No, I'm saying.
Yeah. No, I see that.
I'm just
I
trying to
understand.
examine the way people
Yeah.
pick
He's
movies.
just-
And this
yeah.
is more of an Oscar thing too, not like directed at you, but sometimes people will say, "Oh, well, this was so original.
Right.
I haven't seen anything like it before." You know, it wasn't really written that well, and some of the performances weren't that great. But boy, it was fresh and new. Like I would say, Gravity is almost an example of that.
Right.
A film
Yeah.
that, not in my opinion, not really very well written at all. You know, but it's different, and you look at it and you go, "Wow, that's different. That's impressive." And I think it's going to not trick people. That's not what I'm saying. I think people are gonna fall for that. Whereas I think there's films that are a lot overall more well-rounded.
Yeah.
And films that will last longer and stand the test of time.
Yeah.
I think years from now, people will still be watching Wolf of Wall Street, still be watching 12 Years a Slave, but I think Gravity will be more of an oddity. Like, oh, remember that?
I think Gravity might be I think Gravity might be kind of like Inception, where it kind of stays in like the pop culture hubris for quite some time. Kind of it's gonna be like after Inception came out, there were some people talking about like the score and the whole what's it? God, the word totem. What was it? Top. Is it?
Top.
It was a
Spinning
top.
top.
One word I couldn't fit
I
in.
had friends who had their own totem.
Yeah, like that's stuff like that, and it's like.
And then you got new friends.
I feel like Gravity is going to be kind of like that, where it's kind of like
Yeah, I can.
sticks around.
Inception is a good point of comparison.
I think so.
I think so.
Yeah.
For me, it's such a fucking hard choice, really, because I really liked American Hustle, I really liked her, and I really liked The Wolf of Wall Street. I think if I have to really just say the movie I enjoyed the most this year is definitely The Wolf of Wall Street. I thought it was funny. I thought it was incredibly entertaining.
Yeah.
I thought it was super well shot. I mean,
Yeah.
Marty Scorsese is he's an tiny old man, but he can still make this movie that's so fucking...
Can we get more cocaine on the floor here?
It's just
It's
so young and so vibrant, and it's so visionary, and it just goes to show that if you're a good filmmaker, you're a good filmmaker.
That
You know what I
movie,
mean?
in its energy, seems like it was made by an ambitious 25-year-old.
yeah.
It's like a Boogie Nights type movie.
Right,
Yeah.
absolutely. Like,
But,
this looks like
at the same time, it has the nuance and the technique and the discipline.
Yeah.
It's a very undisciplined movie, some people might say, but I think it does have the mark.
I think it's
of
a little all
more-
over the place for sure, but
That's
the
part of the
movie
movie,
that I
yeah.
think kind of deserves the Oscar, I guess you could say, it wasn't my favorite movie of the year, but the one that I kind of see as deserving the movie because of how topical it was, because of how original it was, because of how well written it was well shot, because it was just, and I'll get sappy, it probably had a bigger impact on our culture than the other movies, I think, is Her. I think personally that's the film that probably deserves the Oscar. It's also Spike Jonze' first film he's ever written. And I really liked it. It wasn't my favorite, but I mean, it's had a huge impact on our society so far. I can just tell that
I think so. I think that's a fair statement to make.
that
I think it's like
things will be the way we look at futuristic films and what objects in films can have relationship, how relationships are depicted in films is totally going to change, because here's a film where it's literally just Joaquin Phoenix talking to a phone for an hour and a half, and that's incredible. I did realize what you said about you can't just say a movie, or do you give the Oscar to the most original film? But I mean, if you want to give an Oscar to somebody that probably really worked for it,
yeah.
I think Her is probably
Yeah.
it.
I was
Although Wolf of Wall Street,
Now,
by and large,
yeah.
I've seen it 3 times.
Now I want to see
favorite movie of the
what,
year.
because you said you feel most strongly about it, and you kind of feel like you just like it. I want to see where the difference
before
of opinion is.
we go to that, and I will go to that because I'll talk about it. I was just approaching the different ways that you can look at the films.
Right, yeah.
There's no right or wrong way to
Yeah.
pick a best film of the year or a favorite film of the year. And for some people, it's going to be, I saw Gravity, I was tense, excited, I cried at the end, it was amazing, and I had so much fun, and that was cinema for me. And for
Yeah.
some people, that's what it was all about.
Sure.
Other people, it was 12 Years a Slave. That movie was
Yeah.
so well crafted. Every detail of that movie was so perfectly done. And it made them, moved in a different type of way.
right.
It wasn't a popcorn
Wolf
ride,
of Wall
but it
Street
was.
made me cry. So.
See, Wolf of Wall Street made this brother cry. So
I can agree with
my
that.
whole thing
It's-
is
you have to decide how you're going to go.
It's sad
about
for
it.
me because my favorite movie of the year is not anywhere on these
I
lists.
know.
It's
Well,
so,
mine isn't. Not my 2 favorites, Prisoners and Field of
Yeah.
England, aren't on there either. So it's.
It's just kind of I don't know. Like it's like I gotta like pick between movies that I like but not love.
How I view the Academy Awards is I view it as a historical thing, right? Like we are gonna look back at all these Academy Awards, and this is gonna say this is the best film according to our society. This is what we deem to be the best film of that year. And I always look back and I see Braveheart was Best Picture, and how just weird films are made
very
Best
telling.
Picture. And it's like, is this really okay? Wolf of Wall Street, yes, it's fantastic, but is this as a culture what we want to say was our favorite movie, like the best movie?
The most interesting one for me is if you look at 1968, where 2001 was in the running, and they gave it to Oliver.
Yeah.
Because that shows how quickly counterculture was moving in and becoming more of a mainstream at that time.
Yeah.
And how, the auteur in Hollywood was becoming more of a prevalent thing. But at the same time, the more mainstream of society was still stuck in
Right.
a bygone age. And I think that's a very interesting...
Oliver's a great film, but you're
Exactly,
absolutely right.
but it's more of it's a film you look back and it's more dated. It looks more like a classical Hollywood type film. And that cross-section, I think, is very telling for where America and American cinema was at that time.
Right.
And there's a few others that are like that, particular years where you can see, the tide is changing.
Yeah, I think the best, like with the Oscars, kind of like it's. I think what you're saying is more like it's interesting to look back at it in terms of like, oh, this one instead of this movie. Like I look back and I see, I forget what year it was, but Rocky wins over Network. 76. Rocky wins over Network, and Network's one of my favorite movies, and I think, I'm just like, so a movie like that was something that I would say that deserved Best Picture over Rocky. Yeah. But Rocky's Rocky. Like that was like a phenomenon when it came out. Yeah. And it's interesting to think about that year in film, and like it leads to more thought and discussion, even if the film that you think deserves to win doesn't win or isn't even nominated.
Yeah. I think another interesting one is how Annie Hall won over Star Wars.
I was just going to say that's another interesting one.
Yeah.
And that's the year after Rocky.
Because this film that has just like paved the way for so many other modern films. I mean, modern cinema as
talking
it
about
is
Star Wars or Annie Hall?
I'd say they both have, actually.
Yeah, right?
I mean,
Annie Hall in terms of
paved the way for two different subsets of widely popular cinema.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I'd say they're both among the most influential films ever made.
Yeah.
Definitely. Oh, yeah, definitely up there. But I do think it's interesting how Star Wars was probably... Because as it stood back then, as I understand it, is that sci-fi films weren't super popular. They didn't get a lot of people in theaters.
Yeah.
Like, they were not a big draw because they were kind of weird and out there.
There was a niche audience,
Yeah. And for that to be nominated as,
But also you can see the hesitance in the more, professional movie crowd.
Right.
That's why Gravity's not going to win this year. And, I mean, Gravity doesn't deserve to win this year, but that's why Gravity's not going to win Best Picture this year.
I have to say, though, there's a little bit of me that's kind of happy that the two directors that people are arguing over are Steve McQueen and Alfonso Cuarón, two filmmakers that I've like kind of watched grow.
I would never have imagined that they would be here a few years ago.
When I saw Children of Men, I loved it so much, and then when I saw like Hunger and stuff, I was like, oh, this is such a great movie. And like I hope no one talks about these guys as much as I think they should, and now they're like in the front running. I think it's great.
I really hope Steve McQueen continues on the course he's on.
Oh my god,
he's been flawless so far.
He has 3 movies that are just like wow. Like I haven't seen 12 Years a Slave, but I love Hunger, and I think Shame is really good. I haven't even finished Shame. I saw it like once on like TV, and I saw like half of it, and I'm like, wow, this is like so great. And like
the thing I'm afraid of that years from now we'll look back and that will be the Steve McQueen trilogy, and it will be like, yeah, and then he made other movies. I'm really, because when people win the Best Picture, weird things happen. Strange things happen when people win the Best Director.
He seems like he knows, but he comes from like not.
He win both.
It's not like he started out like directing like TV or something, or like he just kind of came out with a movie. Like he
started from the art world.
He started from like art and like photography and things like that.
Installation art.
He was doing
installation art, and like he's like he you look at his like influences like Andy Warhol and like more like artists than just filmmakers.
You can tell in his
tell that in his work, So I think.
wonder if he really cares about the Academy Awards from that perspective.
I think he sees it as definitely an honor.
Like
wow, this is like I'm being accepted by this kind of group of people. That's kind of great. But I'm sure he goes home and is like, at the end of the day, it's just the film I made. That's what's important to me.
I think people
I think
who
he
are-
has a really like just kind of good head on his
I
shoulders.
think people at that status, people who are that professional and that obviously dedicated to their
Yeah.
craft and who have put so much time into it, it's really just from one project to the next for them. It's some will get nominated for
Yeah.
this, some will make a lot of money, some won't. They do what they have to do at that time and place. And if he gets nominated, I'm sure he's happy about it and great, and he likes to be noticed. But it's not breaking point for Steve McQueen whether he gets Best Picture or Best Director or not. He's made an impact already, obviously.
Yeah.
You know what director has Wes Anderson ever made? Has he ever gotten a Best Picture award?
No, he's never been nominated for Best Picture,
Didn't
but he
put-
has been nominated for like Best Original Screenplay
Didn't-
twice for Royal Tenenbaums and Moonrise
And if he
Kingdom.
ever wins
and
something,
and
it'll
also
be a
animated
screenplay.
feature.
Yeah.
Also-
I get the strong feeling, yeah.
it was animated feature for Fantastic Mr. Fox,
Yes.
which is one of my all-time favorites.
I think Wes Anderson's a little too like far to like the left to be in the Best Picture.
Yeah,
I
he's-
think his films are too his own. I don't know. I just could not see. I think he makes great movies, but I just don't think I could see him.
They're too
Because Grand
self-aware.
Budapest
Yeah.
comes out this-
They're
yeah.
too self-aware. The Academy does not like self-aware.
Yeah.
They like, real man's movies.
Yeah,
They
they-
like
Movies that can be dramatic without any source of like.
Like extremely loud and
Awareness,
incredibly
yeah.
close, obviously, and
I mean,
Shakespeare in Love.
I'm even surprised that they've given Tarantino as many accolades and awards as they have, because his movies are so self-aware. and
Yeah,
Well,
I'm still
Two
waiting.
best screenplays.
I'm still waiting for
that's about it.
And lots of actors and nods and awards and
I'm very much still waiting for Paul Thomas Anderson to get his much
Yeah.
ado Best Director
Yeah.
Oscar and Best Picture. Maybe Inherent Vice this year, but
whatever movie it is, it's gonna be like, yeah, this is for all those other ones you made.
It's just-
It's gonna be one of those. It's gonna be a Scorsese deal. Where
Yeah.
It's like, oh, you had a
Right.
movie this year. Well, you made a lot of great ones, so
Yeah.
here's your statue.
this is from
Yeah.
Magnolia and Punch Drunk Love.
Yeah.
which came out like they just like
This
made
is
like
for all those movies we didn't get when they came out, and now 15 years later, we're
Well,
still
that's kinda
obsessed with
what-
them.
That's what kind of happened in Lord of the Rings, right? Is in Return of the King, they just dumped fucking Oscars all
I think that
over.
was.
He won every
I think
Oscar
that
it was nominated
pre-planned.
for.
I think
Right.
that was, well, we're gonna have the last one in 3 years. and
Didn't
I'm sure it'll be
Lost in
great,
Translation
so-
come out that year? She won Best Screenplay. Right?
Lost in Translation
Original?
was 2003. Yeah,
That might have been my pick if that was like if that was that
I love
year.
Lost in Translation.
Forget what else came out to that. Didn't no Punch Drunk Love was 2002.
2002, Punch Drunk Love. Yeah.
I'm gonna adjust the window.
So, well, since you mentioned,
I want to talk about the Her thing. I'm curious to see
Oh, we wanna
what's
talk
going
about
on.
Her. Oh, you
what
wanna-
the,
okay.
what the
Well-
controversy is in this
Controversy.
I think it was
So-
our main thing was just like a little dispute over the way it was written, and I really enjoy the way it's written and the way it builds itself. But you were talking about, if you want to explain yourself, Jared.
Well, can you explain what you're talking about the well written? Like what elements of the film you think were well written? Like because you love it, so it's like
Well, I mean, like the first time I saw it, I really blew me away. But then the second time I saw it, I kind of got to come back a little bit and notice that it was really well made. The script wasn't like as flawless as I thought it was the first time I saw it, but I still thought it was very solid.
right.
Also, it was 10:30 at night when we were seeing, or 10 o'clock, so I don't know how well I was paying attention to it the second time. But there were particular scenes where they were just showing the relationship between Scarlett Johansson and
Okay.
Joaquin Phoenix that were quite effective, and just the way that they expressed that.
Right.
Particularly, there's there's the scene where they kind of describe the first time that they are having sex or whatever analog you can have for that, where it's
When they
just,
first have it at the moment,
yeah.
like okay, well, the screen the fades out.
it just fades
Okay,
out to
yeah.
black and then the music grows, and that was very impactful for
Mm-hmm.
me the first time that happened. And then you just bring in the skylights.
Right.
So that
Yeah.
moment, that was a really strong moment for me. It was just like, and that said to me, they figured out how to make this work. They figured out how to properly handle this relationship
Okay.
and how to explore it in a way that wasn't awkward. Because
Yeah.
and as you were pointing out, Jared, after we saw it, there were a lot of directions that they could have taken this movie that could have made it a very different film.
Definitely.
But the
Yeah.
direction that they chose it works for me and it works for a lot of people. So,
Okay.
but
Jared.
Okay, I was really anticipating this movie. I remember when they first announced this movie, and it was just her. Joaquin Phoenix falls in love with a computer.
On
And
board.
It's written and directed by Spike Jonze, and I was so excited. Like,
Yeah.
that sounds
I
amazing.
also-
That sounds
Yeah.
amazing. It still sounds amazing, and I like this movie. I do like it. but it was such a crushing disappointment. And I try not to get my hopes up for movies or get anticipated or
I think it's almost impossible.
but
not to.
you can't not.
Yeah.
But I try to sit down and objectively watch the film as if I had no idea what it was. It was just someone saying, hey, check out this movie, or what's playing? Oh, this, I'll see that. I don't know what it is. And you just go in and see a movie and you react on base level. And I tried to do that, and as much as I wanted to love this movie, as much as that trailer was so beautiful and made me cry,
Yeah, same here.
I thought this movie was just in the writing fundamentally flawed.
That's the thing, is I went into this being, oh, this is going to be like adaptation of being John Malkovich, and it wasn't that. And I think I kind of... I like the movie.
You can't go in expecting Charlie Kaufman.
Charlie
right?
Kaufman
Yeah.
is a far superior writer.
yeah.
Spike Jonze,
Well,
just
he's a
on
very
a
different writer.
conceptual level, he's better. Because I think, honestly, the end of Her... Have you seen Her?
I have not seen her.
I won't spoil
I've
it.
seen many of Spike Jonze's other films.
It really
Right.
fizzles out at the end.
It super fizzles out, because I thought going in, I'm like, oh, like, he falls in love with a robot, and you could just, thinking ahead, you're like, okay, I see the problems you can foresee the problems that a man would have falling in love with an operating system. But the way that's explored is kind of a cop-out, and it
Yes.
kind of doesn't really come to a, it's like, I don't know if, it just feels like, it's just kind of vague, and it's really easy. It's a really easy ending. There's nothing kind of brilliant about it. It's just kind of like, oh, okay.
It was
says
almost like they
out.
took out like a girl character, put in a robot character, and then changed a few lines of dialogue. It's like you wouldn't have to change that much about the movie to make it into a human love interest.
I didn't think it was gonna be like the classic "if you love her, let her go" type thing. I didn't think it was gonna be like. I thought it was gonna be like much different than that. But it turned out to be a little bit. I don't think I'm giving anything away by saying that, but it just didn't really hit me as hard as the rest of the film did.
Yeah.
Because you're like, it's just chugged along so well, and then you kind of get to the end, and it just gets weird. And there's a lot of ups and downs, like really short ups and downs that they have at the end.
I don't know.
Where they're
This
like
film-
deeply in love, and it's kind of like deeply in love, and it's like,
I don't know. Something about it. It just felt. I think it felt a little conflicted too when I watched it. Where it was kind of like when it ended, I wasn't expecting it to end. Maybe it was the pacing for me that kind of threw me off a little bit. And I didn't see it in the most opportune viewing experience. Like there were people talking in my theater and stuff.
Yeah.
And that kind of threw me off. I think I need to see it again. And I was going in pretty anticipating because I love all the actors involved.
Yeah,
I like
definitely.
the director. Being John Malkovich, I never saw a movie like that. Quite like it
That's
before
one of my
when I
favorite
first saw
movies.
it. And I was like, wow, this is such a.
this one lacks edge. It doesn't
Yes.
have quite the edge.
Yeah, no, it is.
That's like the
It
first
is
thing
very
I said when
soft.
it came out. Had no teeth. No teeth at all.
Yeah.
But
So-
I think it definitely screams like a personal pet movie. Like it kind of like
Yeah.
definitely something that he very much cared about. Definitely has his aesthetic and voice written all over it. But I think that movie still kind of. I mean, it's weird because like when I came out of Inside Llewyn Davis, I knew exactly, maybe not exactly why I liked it, but I just kind of knew that I felt like a melancholiness, but kind of like a bittersweetness as well, and like I knew exactly how I felt about it in terms of the emotions I got from it. But Her, I kind of didn't know. I felt
I think
like,
Spike Jonze
I
is
felt
a
a little
sweet
co-
guy,
yeah.
and he's great at directing people and how people have relationships.
Yeah, definitely.
But on a story level, he just doesn't quite have the cynicism and kind of he's a little too optimistic, I think, as a writer. He doesn't quite. The ups and downs. The ups are way better written than like the downs.
This is his first movie he's written, right?
I think
He
so.
didn't do
he
Where the
written
Wild
little.
Things Are
He's
or
kind of
anything?
credited
No,
as
he didn't.
co-writer
No, this is
in
his first,
Where the Wild Things Are.
Where-
But,
Yeah.
it's based on a book, obviously. and
But I
stuff
mean,
like that.
I have lots of problems with the writing of this movie. One is that the main character arc is so obvious to the audience before it, happens.
Right.
That for a lot of the movie, you're just waiting for him to figure out what we already know. It's not like being John Malkovich, which that's a cheap comparison to make, but
Yeah.
I'll make it. Does anyone have any disagreements with me comparing this to that?
Is there? I mean, that's not. I mean,
That
You can-
movie,
but
you
you
go
can't-
on a
I think
that
it's
movie.
tough because like
There's not much else to compare it to because it's.
But I
really
just want to
into the-
say, like, Craig Robinson in that movie,
Yeah.
his character, you realize from the beginning he's kind of a loser.
yeah.
He's making bad decisions, but you go on a journey with him, and you discover things with him, and you discover things about yourself with him as he discovered things about himself. And the ending of that movie, where he loses his sense of who he is, makes you realize how important, your sense of
Being you,
individuality,
even though you're a
how
loser.
important it is to be you. Sometimes you want to not be you, but how important it is to be you. And this movie, I'm like, okay, yeah, I know. Yeah, I know, I get it. Okay, yeah, I know. Yeah. It's, you already know what he learns at the end. He learns that at the end. I already knew that.
Maybe her should be seen as not, a film that can stand like the meat and the gourmet quality of a Charlie Kaufman Spike Lee joint. Spike Lee, God, I did it. I did it.
Spike Jones.
Spike Jones. It's like saying, I was talking about Resident Evil. I say, you think Paul Thomas Anderson? It's like that.
Paul Anderson.
Paul W.S. Anderson.
Paul W.S. Anderson. Yeah, it's like, I think this film kind of is like, if Bean John Malkovich and Adaptation are like the big meat of this kind of collaboration between them, I think her should be kind of seen as maybe a little like appetizer of Spike Jones.
See, like, that's what I would say.
Yeah.
It's a good movie. It's it's
by all
fun to
means.
watch. It's enjoyable. It's really well shot. But that this is getting so many accolades, and people are loving this movie so much, is a little disheartening to me, because it's following on the tail of such strong directorial work.
Right.
I think there's what I love about this film is that it's obvious enough in what it's trying to say about technology that a lot of people are going to get it.
Yeah.
And it's going to reach out and touch, and a lot of people are going to start kind of rethinking things about technology. I actually think that's like why this film is kind of great in a sense, because the whole thing, like the first thing I did when the movie was over, I took out my phone and I checked my shit, and I was like, I kind of was aware at the moment. I was like, wow, I'm doing this.
Yeah, I think maybe people are latching on to what you're saying is like more of the, maybe not the direct love story, but what we can learn from the relationship in the movie about ourselves and about how we communicate and talk to each other. I think maybe that's what people latch on to more. I think maybe you gotta look at it from more that perspective than just the pure relationship of a love story.
But I mean, I have problems with the love story just in and of itself too, because I never like felt that love organically, which you could make a movie about a man loving a computer where the love was inorganic, but that's not what Spike Jonze is doing. He's trying to make the love something that's actually genuine.
It's kind of a waste of
That
opportunity.
blossoms
Would you
beyond
agree with this?
the thing like, oh, it's a computer.
It's not
That
just
can't
him
happen.
masturbating with the phone.
Yeah.
It's an
Yeah.
actual, when they fade to black, it's supposed to be, wow, this has
A love
substance to it.
Yeah.
Which I think the fade to black is a little goofy. Like, that did not hit me like I was like, okay, like, this could be really funny if they had re-edited
from a
this.
sheer like being in a theater standpoint, having a completely black room and just listening to that amongst a bunch of quiet people is really unsettling.
Yeah,
it did
and-
not come off.
and,
as
like, the
funny
whole
at
time-
all.
That's
When they took away the image, like, the first thing that my head...
we probably he hasn't seen
When
it,
they
so.
took away the image, the first thing that popped into my head was Joaquin Phoenix and Scarlett Johansson in recording booths, like holding on to
Right,
microphones,
absolutely.
going, "Oh yeah,"
Absolutely.
and it was goofy. It was funny.
Really, 'cause
but
I was able to. I think
People
I was,
were laughing.
I was
like, yeah, that
aware
part,
of
but
that
okay.
whole awkwardness that was going on. That I was like, okay, yeah, I'm in a theater with them having sex, and I know that this is all a movie, and I know there are people behind me kind of snickering about how the uncanny value of this. But I don't. Maybe it was just something about my own personal feelings and my own. I gave a little bit of myself to the movie originally, just because my girlfriend wanted to see this movie, and we talked about seeing this movie, and it became like a date for us.
Yeah.
That I was able to latch on with my own personal things. I don't know. It might have been I think it comes down to, when it comes to a lot of love stories, it comes down to like how you view love. Even, you know what I mean? I think it's kind of hard not to inject your own views of love and relationships into a movie that's about love and relationships.
I think that also the love story is not gradual at all. It just
It does
That's what I was
kind
gonna
of.
say
right
too.
away.
I feel like it comes
Very
out of nowhere,
often,
too,
a
yeah.
lot of the like scenes in this movie where they talk about how much they're in love. I love you so much. I've never
you
met
never-
someone
but you
like
never
you.
really
It's a-
But
it's a
you never
tell, not
see
show.
why. And I never fall in love with the Scarlett Johansson computer
No, she's
or
too
with
happy all
Joaquin
the time.
Phoenix Whereas in other movies, you know, when I'm watching Being John Malkovich, like I can see what Craig Robinson sees in Maxine, or
Yeah.
when I'm watching the Before trilogy, I fall in love with
Oh,
both of
yeah,
them.
totally.
I'm like Ethan Hawke, take me. I'm like both of them
Exactly,
are
yeah.
beautiful.
What trilogy?
The Before,
Before
the Richard
trilogy.
Linklater.
Julie
I
Delpy
haven't
and,
seen
and
those,
Ethan
yeah.
Hawke. I can see
No.
what they when they're talking
Well-
on the phones in that one scene where they're both talking on the phones.
Yeah.
They do this thing where it's like, okay, now you pick up the phone and call your friend and talk about your night.
And
I just met this
maybe-
girl. It's so beautiful.
Yeah, we want to get back to that, but you were saying something.
Oh no, actually, the thing that did it for me, that actually sold me on the relationship, was the letter writing. Actually, you know, the fact that she reads the letters over
Yeah, that's
and
a
over
good
and picks it out.
integrated element.
Yeah.
That was, you know, that I think that worked, and also the fact that I think Walking Phoenix was, or his character was, you know, very much interested in the fact that she was so excited about life and learning and whatnot. Which was,
Right.
they were drawing an interesting parallel with his with his ex-wife,
Yeah.
Catherine, who
Yeah.
you know had who had issues with being enthusiastic or about trying new things.
Which is part of
That's-
my issue. I
so-
was saying before, I already get that as soon as it starts. I'm like, oh, he's vicariously doing this.
Yeah.
He's doing this because of this, and
There-
it takes him so long to figure it out. Whereas I've already got there. It's like I've run the race and I'm sitting at the finish line waiting
feel
for him to
like-
catch up.
I feel like the thing is like with that movie. I mean, I remember reading that Steven Soderbergh helped with the editing process, and they heavily cut stuff out of the movie.
Yeah, it was
Her?
originally 2.5 hours long, and they cut it to like 90 minutes over the course of 24 hours.
I feel like maybe there were certain scenes that might have been necessary to leave in there because they added maybe some more conflict.
Maybe. Wait,
Because I feel like
hers
there's a-
only 90 minutes long?
Yeah.
Well, no, it's actually 2 hours and 6 minutes according to IMDb, but they cut it down by like an hour when Steven Soderbergh was.
Because I
on
thought it was
Spike
longer
Jonze.
than 90 minutes. How long is it?
It's 2 hours.
I thought
6
it was like
minutes.
2 hours.
Yeah, it is 2 hours.
So how did they cut it by an hour?
Yeah, like they cut
Wait.
it from it's.
So what was the original cut that Soderbergh got his hands on?
Well, let's go to IMDb and look this up.
So
if I
Soderbergh
remember
did it.
correctly,
Because what I'm saying
no,
is
he
the
didn't
film
edit, but he
feels like
helped.
there is a lot of definite, like, either things you already know they're leading to, or kind of fluff, I think, sometimes.
Well,
I
like
feel
you,
like maybe
I was
there should
like,
have been
I was
some more conflict.
like Jared. I was like, yeah, it was kind of like, okay, this is kind of the typical rigmarole, like he's
Rigmarole.
desperate after
Yeah.
you know an ex wife or whatever,
Right.
and he's going through this and he meets someone new, and that's like typical in romance movies. But what I was really excited for was how they were going to surprise me with the ending, and that was
Exactly.
that didn't happen.
Exactly.
Because you're like, okay, I can sit through this. It's not that bad. You know, I don't mind the kind of typical whatever, but there's going to be a conflict and there has to be a resolution, and I want to see how those two pan out. And it's not really
I
satisfying.
think you perfectly summed it up because I was so with this movie at the beginning. I love the opening with that panning shot
Yeah.
and then the
Yeah.
cut to the black, not the cut to black, the cut to the night,
Yeah.
and you know the initial setup of the character, and when I say when he first sets up the computer and you first start hearing them talk, that's when it starts to. I started to gradually realize that it wasn't going to be as interesting as I thought it was going to be, and it was
Yeah.
just going to get less and less interesting as it went on.
And I think the whole the speediness. I don't know if that's how fast their relationship got to like a serious point. How quickly it moved.
Mm-hmm.
I guess that you could say that's because she read all of his letters and she's a robot, so she can
Yeah.
hyperactively do these things. But as a movie, it's kind of
It's unfulfilling in a
unfulfilling.
in a narrative sense. That's
and it is
unfulfilling.
kind of telling and not showing, and yeah, I don't know. I mean, obviously it's shot gorgeously.
Oh, yeah, it's really well
beautiful.
shot.
It's like a fucking Mac commercial.
We know it's in the hands of a
Yeah,
wonderful.
and I love the aesthetic,
filmmaker.
how it like really looks like Apple products, and it's like I
Yeah.
can see this being the future. It's like
I feel
the
like
hipster pants
it's definitely
and-
going to be one of those
yeah.
films. I think it's going to be a film that's definitely a little it's extremely predictive of where we're going to go as like aesthetics in our
but
culture.
at the same time, this is going to be one of those ones
You look back
that
and be like,
20
oh
years
my
ago,
God, that
people are
was
going to
so...
look back and they're going to go, 2010s. They're going to. It's
Yeah.
going to be
Oh,
the
yeah, totally.
ultimate. It's going to be the
because
ultimate
it's
dated
so
movie.
just oversaturated with like what's hip. It's
Exactly,
so
yeah.
oversaturated.
True.
And I think this is a movie that will diminish in the eyes of a lot of people. And maybe
Yeah.
for that reason, it will be an interesting pick if it does win stuff at the Oscars. People can look back and say, wow, they really thought this was really cutting edge.
I think it'll be a good time capsule though.
No, I like movies that are dated. Personally, I love movies that are dated. I love the science fiction movies that look like both science fiction
Yeah, with
movies
the
and
communist
also they
metaphors
look
and
like the
things like that.
70s, you know?
Yeah.
Stuff like Planet of the Apes and Logan's Run and stuff. You can tell
Oh,
when
I
those
love Planet of the Apes,
you can
yeah.
tell when those movies are made, and I love that about them. That's part of their charm. But a lot of people hate that. They hate when you can tell that it was made in this. They hate when you watch original series.
Unless
Star
you're
Trek.
literally neutral on everything, then your movie's never gonna look
Exactly,
not
and I always like
dated, you
that.
know?
I always
What matters
don't like
is like
how
if the story's timeless. If
Yeah.
the story's dated, then that's a problem.
If-
If it's
if-
a timeless narrative.
well,
timeless
even if
character.
the story's dated, it can still be interesting.
I mean, like dated. I don't know how we define dated. I guess.
Well, I mean, like when you look back at, movies from the 1930s, and the role of women is, a little troubling.
Yeah.
That's a hindsight of the movie. But also at the same time, that's interesting because you get to see how
You have to have it there so you knew it happened.
Society
That's true.
was at the time, and how cinema worked, and the perspective that movie maker,
Yeah.
like the way the industry was worked.
Yeah, like the solution is to not get rid of Birth of a Nation and never watch it in a film class
Yeah.
ever again.
That's an
That's
extreme
not
example.
that's not the solution.
That's an extreme example. I'm just talking about funny pants and
No, I know, but I'm just, we're
Slavery,
talking
funny
on a
pants.
people are like,
conceptual
oh, they
level.
got bell bottoms on. I thought it was supposed to be the future. It's like, yeah, I know, it's the 1970s
Okay,
future.
yeah, I guess, but I mean,
At this,
on
yeah,
the conceptual
obviously,
level,
Birth of a Nation is important. Yes.
yeah. But anyways, no, I mean, I really liked the film. It just didn't blow me away, and it wasn't as good as, like you said. I don't know if it's a fair comparison, but it wasn't quite as good as being John Malkovich.
It's not a fair
adaptation.
comparison, but just to highlight some things that work in those films that
Yeah.
don't work in this. That's why I was bringing it up. I did not go into this movie
Did
expecting Charlie Kaufman.
Did he write Where the Wild Things Are? The screenplay for
Co-wrote.
that?
I think he co-wrote it.
Co-wrote
Yeah, but
the
like
screenplay.
little mo. Yeah.
Let's
Just
find
say,
out.
Probably like
I think
Roman
Where the
Poe.
Wild Things Are is
No.
one of the most underrated films of all time.
I've heard that from a lot of
Which
people.
film?
Where the Wild Things Are.
I haven't
think
seen
it's like
that.
one of the best films of
It looks very
2009.
beautiful.
I remember. Sorry, I remember coming out of World of Wild Things Are being moved a little bit. I do remember that.
That's
But
like-
I've never watched
I
it.
have a
again.
thing.
I was
I
slightly moved.
I gotta say, I
Yeah.
love movies that involve like. I know we're talking about like
don't know.
the trend of like kids going through hardships and stuff.
oh, little kids in hardship movies.
Besides that kind of subject, which I'm getting tired of, I just enjoy movies about childhood and like,
Oh, I love movies about childhood
Like,
and coming of age movies.
Yeah.
I have such a
Accurately
fondness.
depict.
Oh,
Okay, well that's like Where
like
the Wild Things Are.
when Richard
Yeah.
Linklater's
It's a little bit
Boyhood
of
comes out, I am
hardship.
so ready
Yeah,
for
oh
that.
my
I'm ready for that, but
What movie?
And Richard
Boyhood.
Linklater's
Everything I
Boyhood.
hear and read about that
Oh.
makes me like
Yeah.
Like,
I'm ready for the
really
new
excited.
400 blows to come.
Mr. Linklater, I love you.
I love Richard
Just keep
Linklater. We
making
saw
movies.
Bernie recently. Bernie was
I
Bernie
love
is
Bernie.
fantastic.
I love
So,
so like
Bernie.
what's
love Bernie.
this dude is like
Bernie is one of those movies that, like,
There's
the
some-
characters in that movie, I'm like, I know a person
there's
just like that.
there's some
Because most of them are probably real.
he's one
Yeah,
of those, he's
exactly.
another one of those
Basically saying-
filmmakers who hasn't quite gotten the recognition he definitely deserves.
because
Yeah.
it's
he
because
juggles
he
art
does,
house
he does a
and
lot exactly. He
entertainment.
does a lot of different types of movies.
Oh, yeah,
he'll do
he's all
School of
over the
Rock,
place.
Yeah.
or he'll do Tape. A movie that's three people.
Have
in
you
a-
seen A Scanner Darkly?
Yes,
Oh my gosh, so good. I
I
really
really like
Scanner
that movie too. But he'll do that,
Yeah.
and then he'll do Tape, which is three people in an apartment,
Yeah.
shot lo-fi. All dialogue, like 80-minute movie, and then his next movie will be School of Rock.
or Bad News Bears remake.
Bad
or,
News Bears remake.
I haven't seen that one.
The only unifying theme I can really see through a lot of
That's
his movies
him.
is he likes to do, shot in like one period of time. He likes to
Yeah.
do, Dazed and Confused I think is just one night.
Yeah.
Tape is just like an hour
School
and a
of
half.
Rock is a
The
week.
Before trilogy is like that. School of Rock, that's a little different, but he
I
likes to
mean,
do movies that
literally-
are shot in a condensed period
Yeah,
of time.
and I loved Bernie because it was shot. And I think I'm going. I'm like, it's going to be like some kind of goofy murder, kind of Coen Brothers,
Sort of is,
Universal thing. But and then I watch. I'm like, oh, it's kind of pseudo documentary. It's playing around with the medium. It's
It's a lot of different things.
Jack Black being so wonderful. I'm so
Yeah,
glad
like
he's so good at that.
Before Bernie, I completely forgot that Jack Black was a good actor. Like,
Yeah, you
because he was
forget.
doing, Gulliver's Travels. and,
yeah, Gulliver's Travels came
But
out.
he just gave himself to that role. He just
Yeah.
went so hardcore. Like,
I have
do you know how
not seen
like
that
goofy he was in that movie?
Yeah.
And how like embarrassed? Like,
And
there's some really
he
strange
was just
parts
so
in that
not
film.
Yeah.
Jack Black in that movie. He
I
wasn't
know.
playing himself at all.
Yeah.
But at the same time, he was in a weird way.
Yeah.
Okay, in a
You
way,
know,
in a way.
But that's what I loved about
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's so I don't know what's. I'm so glad he just gets movie after movie made and like.
Yeah, I'm really glad.
It's really wonderful, I think. But what you're saying about Before Sunrise, I think it's really true because, I mean, it's probably maybe not just comparison between it Before Sunrise and her, a blossoming love story, and then they
That takes
split
place in a
apart.
short period of time.
Short period of
but
time,
that
and then it ends
develops
up them
very quickly.
end up them splitting up or whatever. But I mean, Before Sunrise, I mean, obviously, fundamentally, you can't have these scenes in her. But the scene Before Sunrise, where they're in the record store and they just listen to
I
that record,
know.
and they just kind of look at each other. It speaks so many volumes.
That scene, you're just like,
And
kiss her, do
and
it,
it's
kiss
so
her.
beautiful. And it's just such a beautiful little moment. And
I gotta see those.
her,
I'm
and
same
her,
thing.
even
I think
though,
I would
even
really
though
like
I
them.
understand,
I think everyone would really like that.
even though I understand her, obviously they can't have scarves or hands in there, but her to me never really had that kind of moment where they're like,
Exactly.
I feel like
I
no,
wish
they're
you
not.
would
They're
have
not
dropped
gonna.
his phone in the toilet.
They're not
That would've
gonna.
been funny.
Oh
They're
my
not-
god.
They're not gonna.
See, that's a different movie. That's a totally different movie. It's Spike Jonze, her, where, you know, he drops his phone in the toilet.
Yeah.
You know, and they have stuff like that in it.
Yeah.
And, you know, the computer's like, you know, like a really weird woman and like does strange things even though she's like a, you know, it's a totally different movie, you know?
Yeah.
And that could have happened.
The thing is,
Or,
I think
you know,
her could
yeah.
use a moment where
Which maybe that
between
would've
the
been a worse
moment where
movie,
they
who
make
knows?
love and the moment when they meet, like they have that span before they make love where it's like they kind of just have a moment where they kind of like have it thinking of like, you know, maybe this could like maybe we could fit with each other, you know, somehow or just something like that. I felt that movie never. I don't know. Maybe it did.
It's because
I don't
they
think it did though.
It for me it was they kept saying how much they were in love. I love you so much. You've changed my life. I've never met anyone like you. And I've met people
Can you
like
feel
you.
yourself in this room right now?
I know people like both of you.
Yeah.
You're a computer operating system from the future, and I know people who are just like you.
It's
Yeah.
yeah.
Whereas, you know, the Before trilogy, if we want to go back, I haven't seen the
Or
third
Punch-
part
I
actually,
haven't seen
but
that one
Before
either.
Sunrise, it's just
or Punch Drunk Love.
Punch Drunk Love. It's so organic, and they never say really. It's not. I really like you. I love you.
Yeah.
I've never met someone like you. It's so much. It's. I don't want to say raw.
It's just
but it-
kind of the way people actually
mean,
It's
talk.
fulfilling on a thematic and a character-driven level. It's fulfilling to see it.
It's
And
less
it-
direct. It just actually it shows
Not even
it
less
rather
direct, because
than
the
tells
whole
it.
movie of Before Sunrise, you know what the point of it is.
Mm-hmm.
But even for a movie that has an ending that some may say is unfulfilling because it's not, you know, picture book happiness and they all lived happily ever after, it's fulfilling on a storytelling level.
Mm-hmm.
It feels like a complete thing. Even though they went on to make a sequel, you could have ended that there. It's fulfilling. And the arc that they have together and the night that they share is so beautiful. And with her, it was just like, I love you so much. And I was like, I don't love either
You
of
know,
you.
for how much shit people get for saying anything about this movie, have you guys ever seen The Notebook?
No,
Ever
I
seen that?
actually
No.
haven't.
It's actually not
You
that
know who
bad.
directed The Notebook?
No, I don't.
John Cassavetes' son.
Really?
Isn't that weird?
That is fucking
Isn't
weird.
that weird?
I'm from Holland.
Isn't that weird?
I mean,
Yeah.
it's not bad. Like for how like blueprint like feminine that movie is. Like it really isn't that bad. Like
I'm
you
just
get
laughing about
choked
John
up watching.
Cassavetes' son.
Isn't
Yeah.
that crazy? When
It's
I
really
found that
good.
out, it blew my mind.
I remember hearing
That's
about
strange.
that, and I was like, God, so I know you reminded me about that. I forgot.
A woman under the influence.
The Notebook.
Here, son. Here's how you make movies. The Notebook.
I will apply my dad's teachings to my filmmaking.
But that film is a film where it
Yeah.
it shows how much the characters care for each other without
I see
just
it.
doing the whole I
Okay.
love you so much.
I'll have to
But
check
you guys
it
have
out.
never seen it, so
I'll
I'll
have to
just
check it
talk
out.
about it.
I'd be willing to watch it. Objectively.
You might cry. I'm just saying. It's pretty intense.
I like crying.
It's about a couple who
I know what it's about.
I think it's about a
Uh,
couple. I can't remember,
we know
but
it's
it's
a-
something to do with
we've all-
Alzheimer's.
Two people fall in
It's a
love.
Notebook.
How
Is that
beautiful.
the Ryan Gosling in the Rain movie?
They have
Yeah.
50
Yeah, yeah.
first dates. I don't know.
I love 51st Dates.
I
That
actually
is
like
such a
50
good
first
Two
dates.
young people meet and
I
fall in
unfortunately
love,
really like
and a lot
What
of
do you mean
stuff
unfortunately?
happens,
It's a
and
really
then
good
they
movie.
get mad,
Adam
and then they
Sandler.
make up,
I
and then
love
there's the
Yeah,
thing
but
in the
Actually,
rain,
has
and
some good ones.
that's
Yeah.
the movie.
Happy Gilmore, Punch Drunk Love, and Free for
He's not responsible.
Do you guys
for
like
Punch
Mr.
Drunk Love.
Deeds?
I do like Mr. Deeds.
Mr. Deeds is a good movie. I like Mr. Deeds.
I like Mr. Deeds because it's just like, it's kind of like.
It has no aspirations to anything other than what it is. and you want to know what it is? Really, really funny.
Yeah.
That's
it's
what
like,
it
it's
is.
like, have you ever seen that show Extras? There's a scene
Yeah,
where
yeah.
Patrick Stewart is pitching his script to Ricky Gervais, and it's just about him having superpowers where he can take women's clothes off, and then he sees it, but they can't get the clothes on before he sees it, and like that's it, and that's kind of like what Mr. Deeds is. Adam Sandler's just like, now listen, I have a lot of money, and I fall in love with a girl, like that
Yeah,
kind of.
no, Mr. Deeds is just like a classic, you know, it's like a classic Hollywood comedy done in the style of a, like, late 90s Adam Sandler comedy.
I love how
It's
Steve
like a
Buscemi's
perfect
in that movie,
genesis.
and he's got like the cross-eyed.
Yeah, and he's eating the pizza, what
like
is it?
M&M's on it or
It's,
something.
French fry and Oreo pizza, my favorite. Thanks, Deeds.
And he buys everyone in his hometown a red Corvette.
Everyone
I love when the butler stabs his foot. He's like, "Oh my god, you can't!" Oh, I'm just kidding. Like he just like
Yeah, John
on a
Turturro.
dime. He
John Turturro as the butler.
Oh,
Oh
it's
my
him.
god.
Yeah.
Oh, we should fucking watch that.
I love that movie. There's a scene where the apartment is on fire and Deeds goes in to save all the woman's cats. And he's like, "How many do you have?" And she's like, 13. And he's like, "I'll get the cats." And he's throwing them out the window and they're like
Yeah.
trying to catch him in buckets and stuff. It's really funny. He pulls this one cat out and it's totally on fire and he's like swinging it around and he whips it out the window and it falls in a bucket of water.
But there are some just
And the cat's perfectly fine.
There
It's
are
great.
some just abortions of Adam Sandler movies.
Oh, yes.
All
Yes,
the other
there are.
ones.
Grown
I
Ups.
mentioned.
I saw
Jack and
Grown Ups
Jill.
too.
I want to see Jack and Jill for like.
Oh, me too.
Oh, it's
Profiling
so,
reasons.
dude. It's so. It's,
I'd love
it's,
to
it's,
see
this, it's revolting. It's so bad. It's like not. It's like an anti-movie. It's
Yes.
so ridiculous. No,
Just
really.
to see Royal Caribbean
You
Cruises.
think it's just gonna
That
be
and I want to see the
just,
Al Pacino
do you think it's
cappuccino
just
because
gonna
that's
be-
actually ingenious.
Do you think this
Wow.
movie's just gonna be like just a bad movie? It's like offensive. It's like
Yeah.
it's like ugly.
Offends you on a
And
core level.
Oh my god, yeah. It's ridiculous.
is ugly.
And I watch just Al Pacino just like disintegrate before your eyes.
You know, I actually like the movie Click too.
Oh, I like Click
I like
too.
Click.
Click's
Really?
really
I think-
sad.
Click's a really
It's
good
sad,
movie.
yeah.
So
Click.
sad.
Really?
And it has
I
good
don't like
makeup,
Click
too.
that much. I don't know.
I just remember watching it in theaters and being like so depressed.
I feel like it's so-
I always get moved by Click. I've seen it
Yeah.
like 3 times. I really like
I
it.
think it's really. I think it's just kind of like, forced. Yeah. I don't know. I'm not crazy about it. I feel like it's like the post Punch Drunk Love movies where you try to be serious or something. It just didn't work.
Yeah. I think Adam Sandler is genius as Barry Egan though. Like that was the
That's
one performance that I've
amazing.
seen him do that was like, wow, okay.
Yeah, that movie's.
But like, why doesn't he do more films like that? Like, why isn't? I've heard
What's the
Spanglish
next
is
Adam
pretty good.
Sandler movie?
What?
Do you know what the next Adam Sandler movie is? Whether it's gonna
That's
be
My Boy 2 or something.
Grown
I don't
Ups.
know.
Oh my
Gorge,
God,
I
Let's
can't
find
remember.
out. Let's find out. Wait,
That's
drum roll.
still my boy.
Drum roll.
Still my boy.
Drum roll. Okay.
It's still
Fucking
We're about to find. We are about to find
Oh,
out.
my balls.
Adam
Joe,
What's that old lady doing
Sandler.
falling down the stairs?
Okay, so according
Longest Yard is pretty good too. I like. That's one of my guilty
not a-
pleasures.
That one's not bad, but
Longest
not a big
Yard.
fan of it.
So,
Anyways.
according to the most
I love
recent-
Happy Gilmore,
Okay,
though.
so it's interesting. Adam Sandler, that under the question mark section for of years for IMDb, his next films are Hello Ghost and Men, Women, and Children.
Hello, Ghost. That sounds great.
Hello, Ghost.
Man,
I
haunted
hope-
by
I hope
ghosts must
Adam
make their
Sandler
final
is the
wish come
ghost.
true in order to
No,
get
I
rid of
hope
them.
Adam Sandler
He's
isn't the
the
ghost.
ghost.
So he can
Directed-
go, hello, ghost.
And that's going
No,
to
but
be
if he was the ghost, he'd say it anyway, because the guy'd be like, "Hello, ghost." He'd be like, "Hello, ghost. What's going on? I'm a crazy ghost."
so that movie is going to be directed by Chris Columbus and also co-written by him.
Oh, great, Chris
What?
Columbus.
Chris Columbus is back. He's
Chris Columbus is back.
He's
I
back.
have mixed feelings about Mr. Columbus, you know.
I just think he's what
Sounds some good
how
stuff.
can you feel strong?
I directed the first 2 Harry Potters
And this is
Home
Doubtfire.
Alone.
This is
And Home
Doubtfire.
Alone.
Yeah.
like what he's like just a cut above George Lucas in terms of like most boring filmmaker. Like, I don't know, like what can you say?
I
about
did the thing, and it was good.
Miss Doubt. I hate Mrs. Doubtfire. I don't know why people like
Really?
that movie. I think it's so
I
like
love that movie. I dress up like a nanny to see my children.
I really don't like that movie.
It's
very much.
heartwarming.
I think it's almost kind of creepy on a fundamental level.
Oh, it is. I like that movie.
So maybe I should watch it again with that kind of mindset because I think I would enjoy
It's one of
Oz the Great
those-
and Powerful.
I
if
just
watched
remember him
it as,
tearing
like,
off the fucking logo for the Mercedes Benz and being like, "Wow, that's fucking rude." Like he just rips off the Mercedes Benz ornament on the
Yeah.
hood. And
I just
being
I
like,
don't know if I want to.
It's one of those Robin Williams Gone Amok movies. And if you like those...
like all of them.
Insomnia.
Pierce
except for-
Brosnan's in it, I think, or who's in it? Is it Pierce
One of the
Brosnan?
ones. Who cares?
Pierce Brosnan, Guy Pearce, I don't know, they're all the same person.
Guy Pearce.
I feel like it's one guy and they take their face off at night
Yeah,
and they
no,
put
you
on a
gotta-
different
Pierce guy.
Pierce
Guy
Brosnan
Pearce.
and Guy Pearce and who else looks like that?
Mara Wilson's
I don't
in
know.
there too.
Richard Gere.
Richard
Yeah.
Gere,
Oh
Richard
yeah.
Gere.
Oh,
All the same guy.
they're all the same guy. All right, guys. I think that's about enough. Thank you for tuning in, or rather, clicking play on this video. You've been listening to Film Fetish. I have been Connor Boyd. We
Who are you
have
now?
I'm still Connor Boyd.
Whoa.
That's still my boy.
And we've
Still my boy.
and we've still been joined by George Monard,
Yep.
Alex Powell,
Hello.
Aaron Dye,
Don't forget to catch Her. It's the greatest film you'll ever see.
and Jarrod White.
Hello, ghost.
All right, guys, thanks so much for listening. Catch you next week when we talk about
movie.
That's My Boy. See you guys.